had in itself. Right now, everybody knew the pace at which a tortoise moves and the pace at which the rabbit, probably even if it walks, it is way faster for a tortoise compared to a tortoise. But then a tortoise always had the self-confidence, the belief in itself that, though it may not win, but then it will complete the race. Right. So that is the level of self-confidence or belief you're supposed to have in yourself, be it CA exams, be it your personal work, or, even when you go for a professional career at a later point in time. This is not just an examination a point of view that I'm telling this to you. Right. So this belief in yourself is something which you're supposed to have throughout your life, which will always help you achieve whatever you aim at. Right. So with that, this being the first R2R session, I have the liberty to talk to you about so many tips. So the first and most important favorite tip for everyone: have enough of sleep, get enough sleep, not too much. A bit laughing too much. Happy to see that, is it? Okay. So ensure you have enough of sleep and view exam as a challenge. I know it is an examination, even it is an examination, but then it doesn't mean you're entering a prison. You're not going to jail, right? So just view it as a challenge, as an opportunity, which will always make you feel better. Now, why is it so? Only when you approach something with an unbiased mind, that is when you're able to do justice for it, right? So whenever you approach with a biased mind, you always have you tend to lean towards one side. So that is why view it as an opportunity or a challenge. Overcome setbacks. In case you have any of the setbacks in your mind, any bottlenecks, which probably is pulling you back from moving forward. Just remind yourself on how you overcame such setbacks at an earlier point in time whenever you had them. Most important thing, don't worry about what you cannot control, right? Do not worry about what you cannot control. Now, suppose after finishing the accounts examination, you were just walking through the corridor and you happened to see one of the invigilator discussing on the law paper or the BCR paper, right? So that would have added to your advantage, but then it is a factor which is not in your control. So be happy for it if you've got to know something, right? On the other hand, if something goes wrong, which is not within your control, relax, nothing is going to happen. And the most important one, positive thinking. The other way of looking at it is pause negative thinking. Positive thinking, pause negative thinking, right? So with this Gyan session, now we move to the BCR portion. So what is the first pick we see here? Preparation is the key. So this slide mainly applies to some of the chapters, which I had told you in the previous revision class as concept-based chapters, right? So what are they? First one is a chapter on communication. Now, concept-based because you have some things which are required to understand and then apply it in your examination. So first chapter on communication, meaning, categories, essentials, all these things. Special emphasis on networks of communication and barriers in communication. This can be a definite question for 2 marks. A question on network for 2 marks, a question on barriers for 2 marks. There can also be a differentiation question on network, as in differentiate between vertical network and a star network, something like that. I think it is also there in your MTP, in your mock test, right? So special emphasis on these 2 areas. The second one is, sentence types, which is mainly converting active voice to passive voice or direct to indirect speech. Now, what you're required to be aware of here is the tense, the rules for subject-verb agreement, and the types of sentences, right? So this is, of course, going to be a definite question for 3 to 5 marks, all 1 mark questions. You can have 3 to 5 questions. And the third one is vocabulary. Vocabulary is nothing but the dialogues of your entire movie, right? So for your entire communication, whatever you talk, vocabulary is a part of it. Now, as all of you know, you have synonyms, antonyms, connotations, idioms, and all. But then mostly questions are concentrated on synonyms, antonyms, and idioms. Now, that does not mean other things can be excluded. Of course, you have to be aware of the meaning of it and some of the examples. Moving to the next one, comprehension. The first compulsory question in your paper. So what is the key here? Key is just read the passage, understand. That is what is required. Scan through the questions and then you'll be easily able to answer the questions. Now, comprehension is a pretty easy thing to score because it is something which you have to do on the spot. Just see there on the spot, whatever question they have given, go through it whatever passage they've given, go through it, read the questions and answer. Only thing you're supposed to be careful is wherever they have an ambiguous MCQs, as in wherein they give you a multiple choice question and all the four options seem to be the right answer. What do you do at that point in time? Pick the one which seems to be most closely related to the question, right? So when all ABCD seem to be correct, see the one which is most closely related. And then the next chapter on note making and summary. Now, what is note making? It is essentially reducing the a lengthy text to something like a pointers in an understandable way. Now, what are the key things to have here? First is frame a suitable title. Title will definitely carry at least 1 mark. So ensure you have a proper title for your notes. And then identifying the points, and you always have to present it in a logical sequence. Now, again, linear note making, as all of you are aware, there are 2 types, linear and non-linear. Linear always goes in a point-wise format, wherein you have a heading, a subheading, subpoint, subpoint, whereas a non-linear is something which is open to your imagination. Now, most important thing to note, in examination, there is no restriction as to you only have to use linear way of note making. Of course, when you go through your MTPs, RTPs, and all the previous question paper answers, it is usually presented in a linear way, so that it is easy for everybody to understand. That does not, restrict you from attempting it in a non-linear way. If you find you're able to present information in a better way in non-linear format, please feel free to choose that and present it in the best possible way. And if you're using abbreviations, ensure that you try to comply to the 5 rules of abbreviation which we discussed. You try to comply to the extent possible. And the most important thing is to provide a key for better understanding. Now, what is key? Key is the write down for the short forms which you've used. What does the entire word mean? And of course, note making versus note taking. Then the styles of writing. Now, this chapter is something which we have gone through in, as a part of it is appearing in all the sub chapters. How can question be asked? Probably a 1 or a 2 marker question wherein they give you 2 or 3 sentences and ask you to point out what is the style of writing here. Very rarely asked, but then be aware of it. Yes. So done with preparation is the key. Now we move to the next part, which is give your best and leave the rest, right? Now, what are the sections covered here? It is mainly your creative writing, your content writing, right? Which is your précis writing, your summary writing, articles and reports. Now, why is this? Because you will have to give your best at that spot in the examination at that point in time, right? No matter, it could be a topic on which probably you have gone through in the study material, but then what you write in the examination is what comes to your mind at that point in time. Right? So that is why I'm saying give your best on these topics and leave the rest. Précis and summaries, essentially the main thing, you're condensing the original text. The main difference is in the length. So for a précis, your précis has to be 1/3 of your original text, where the summary has to be 25% of the original text. Then the article and the report writing, mostly formats, and yes, of course, also the content part of it. Now, when it comes to articles and reports, the restriction is mainly on the number of words within which you'll have to write your content. Now, another piece of advice, if you could mark the number of lines within which your content would fit, right? For example, what are given for précis writing, say in 1 line, you are able to write 10 words, and the article or the report, they're asking you to write in 150 words, right? Which means make a mark after the 15th line and try to adjust your introduction, body and conclusion within those 15 lines, right? So when you have that mark, you're always able to phrase as to how much should be your introduction, how much should be your body, and how much should be your conclusion. So try to do this so that you're able to do justice with all the 3 parts. Report writing, special emphasis on magazine reports. Possible question. It can be for 3 marks or 5 marks. Yes. So the last section, what can this be? Any guess? Or if you get to see beautiful cakes. So this, I would call it as a cakewalk section. Why a cakewalk? Because these are format based, which are really easy to score, right? So this can really be a cakewalk if you're aware of the formats. So what is first one? The first one is all your chapters on your official communication, the letters, special emphasis on order letter and inquiry letter. Possible question for a 4 mark or a 5 mark. Right. Of course, you also have other types of letters, which is letter of complaint, reply to a letter of complaint, promotion and sales letter is almost the same, and recovery letter. The next one is official communication, where you have memos and circulars. Circular special emphasis. Possible, there can be a question. Now, if you're aware of the formats, memo and circular, there is not much of a difference in the format, right? So the main thing you have to, keep in mind, in case they do not specify in the question as to whether they are asking you to write a memo or a circular, you should be able to find it out, right? So a circular, always remember circle is a circular, right? So a circle is always intended for a wider audience, whereas a memo is intended for specific audience. So in case the question is asking you to address, one information to a specific department or a specific group of people, it is always a question of memo. Whereas if it is otherwise, it is a circular, you'll have to write. This can also be a question for a 3 or a 5 mark, right? And yes, all these chapters on writing formal emails, resume writing. Now emails, special emphasis, possibility, there can be a question on this. Again, it is formats. And one point to remember, in case you find that in your email, you have a lot of content to write, right? But then the question is only for say 4 or 5 marks. So much of content is not required. Just say the details are given in the attachment. And then at the bottom, you just mention the name of the attachment, done, right? So do not spend too much of time on elaborating the content. Just give only what is necessary. In case it is a very wide topic they have given, wherein you have a lot of things to put, right? So in that case, you just condense and say, I've given the details in the attachment. Next one, resume writing with cover letter. Now, usually in a resume writing, most of the times they haven't specified you to have a cover letter. So if they ask for a resume writing, just give a resume in either chronological order. If they specify you to have a cover letter, yes, then you also have to give a cover letter for that. The next chapter on meetings, essentially and essentially nothing but only formats, right? So 2 types of meetings, organizational and operational. This can also be a question for 2 marks, asking you to differentiate between the types of meeting, organizational and operational meeting. And meeting includes 3 things, which is agenda, minutes, and action taken report. Now, what are the important things in these 3? In agenda, at the bottom, you should always have convened by, as in who is sending the agenda for the meeting. Agenda is something which will have the content as to what are you going to discuss in the meeting. So main thing to remember in agenda is convened by. Minutes, 2 important things. First one on the top is attended by or attendance, who all were present at the meeting. And at the bottom, prepared by, right? So these are the 2 things you definitely have to have in minutes. And then the action taken report. Action taken report, you usually have it as prepared by, as in who was responsible for preparing the report, right? So any questions, any doubts? All good?
No. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So the last thing I would want to say, be the best version of yourself on all the days of your examination, because end of the day, it is only those 3 hours or 2 hours which are going to matter, right? Okay, bye, see you, enjoy, and all the very best for your examinations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. So next is law, is it? Or next is Rajdeep, sir?
Mehul sir.
Okay, fine. I think you should be joining in sometime.
Yes. So everybody exam was reasonably good.
Reasonably.
My mom asked, Heng ಮಾಡಿದರಂತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ. I told, without even asking, I know the answer. Reasonably good.
Answer is also said by sir.
Yeah.
Everybody is supposed to follow it, is it?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So we good to start. Rasdeep sir is done with this session.
No, Rajdeep sir's session is after your session, sir.
All right. So it's at 8:50 which we begin, right?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Let me know if the screen is visible.
It's visible.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Great. We'll begin in a minute or two. The screen's visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Brilliant. All right. So let's get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. And irrespective of however your examination was, don't care. All right. It must have been great for each one of you. In case it was, nothing like it. If it wasn't, who cares? Because you're done with your examination. So I think I told you guys yesterday as well. This is something that I've been practicing. I used to tear my question paper after the examination itself. Right, wrong, I don't know. I am not going to judge that. But that was the immediate requirement at that point of time, so that I don't waste my time immediate, or else I come back home, something that you guys might have done. Come back home, check if I'm getting that 35, 40, 65, 55, that benchmark which you have in your mind, you'll start calculating that. So that's the whole point. Tear the question paper immediately and get back home. It's absolutely fine. Having said that, let's get started with the session, friends. And I hope I am visible. I hope the screen is visible. And this is a classic refresh to relax. What we are going to do is we are going to quickly run through a couple of gentle reminders from the law perspective. We have divided this entire 20 minutes that I'm going to spend with you. We are going to spend almost like 4-5 minutes on the aspect of how to approach this paper. When it comes to your technical topics, what are those important points which you're going to focus? And probably the last 1 or 2 minutes, you can just say hi, hello. With this, let's get started, friends. All right. The screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Great. So important points, but I usually call them as gentle reminders. Why? Because we have discussed this. This is nothing new for you guys, but you need that 1 minute before you have this dirty habit of carrying your books, right? 1 minute before you need that last minute revision. That's what we are going to do. This is the last minute revision where we are going to see what are those do's and don'ts which are going to help you in this paper. All right, let's quickly jump into the topic. The first thing, your question paper comprises of 2 parts. One is going to be your MCQ. The other one is going to be your descriptive. All right. So MCQ goes unchecked. You are given 4 options. You're going to select one out of it. I don't have to get into the details, but how do you approach the MCQs? My suggestion to each one of you, of course, goes unsaid. You will have to read the entire question. The first, whenever you get your MCQ, please ensure to read the last sentence first and then read the entire question. We've solved a couple of questions in our examination during our sessions as well. If you recall, read the last sentence first and then read the entire question. Why? Sir, this is going to save a lot of time because at times it might be just 1 marker. But for that 1 mark, these guys might have given 2 pages. All right. So the question might be there in the last sentence itself. Possible. Am I asking you not to read the question? The answer is no. I want you to read the entire question once, but make your life easier by first reading the last sentence so that you get the topic. What exactly are they looking for? From which perspective are you going to think and how are you going to analyze? I repeat, I'm not asking you to skip reading the entire question. I want you to read the entire question, but your focus is going to be first. Just spend that 30 seconds in reading the last sentence first. All right. Then next point, take calculator. Though it is a law paper, but I insist each one of you to please carry your calculators. No, sir, why in theory paper should I calculate? At times, what if they are asking you 60, 1 plus 2 is easier to solve during classrooms? For that also we've used calculators. It's a separate thing. Imagine during that pressure of 3 hours, we might miss out. So don't take the chance. Please carry your calculators, even though it is a law plus paper of English. All right, maintain your speed. Most important thing, theory papers can make it, you can make it or break it only by having a consistent speed. All right, so I insist you guys to have a consistent speed right from the first question. You are not going to pick up the pace in the last 30 minutes when you realize that, oh, I have missed out 2.5 hours. Now I'm just left with another half an hour. Write everything under the sky. No. Ensure you maintain your pace right from the first sub question that you're going to answer. I hope I'm clear. What happens is students end up writing stories together in the first 1.5 hours. It might be a 4 marker, but you write 4 pages thinking it is BCom exam. Please don't get confused. It is not BCom exam. 4 marker, write accordingly. But the most important thing that you have to remember is you are going to maintain your speed right from the first point. All right, next point. Read the question twice. Do not attempt to assume what the question could be. Most important thing, read the question twice. Now, sir, just now you asked us to read the last sentence. No, I said read the last sentence, but read the entire question. Read the question twice. It so happens that, imagine the question is about Nidhi company. The question is about small company. The question is about subsidiary. Seeing the word itself, you got heart attacks. It might be a chiller question. It might be a simple question which you are assuming you don't know because you saw that word. No, read it twice. It might be a chiller question where they might just be asking a little bit of condition. They might be asking a practical question. So read it twice and then come to a conclusion. All right, next point. Write the question number in the middle of the page. Time and again, we have discussed this during our revision session as well. If you remember, we are not going to write page numbers in the left corner, right corner, top, bottom, right. Straight in the middle of the page. Every page is going to be one sub question. Make the life easier of the evaluator. All right, as long as his life is easy, it is going to be easy for him to give you marks as well. All right, next point. Write in points. Time and again, though it is theory papers, but we are not Chetan Bhagat. We are not going to write stories together because that's not what we are here for. We are going to write in pointers. Even though in your answer, even though in your study material, your CAPS material, it might be paragraphs, but we are going to stick to points because it makes the life of the evaluator easier. Best foot forward. What is the meaning of this? The first 1 hour that you're going to spend has to be that best 1 hour wherein you're going to get closer to clearing this paper itself up front in the first hour. All right. So whatever I know, let's assume I know 1A, I know 2B, I know 3C, I know 4D. So whichever sub question which you know the best, write those in the first 1 hour itself. Why? The first 1 hour decides how much you're going to make it in this paper. All right. Your first 1 hour is going to decide how much are you going to score in this paper. So ensure, it might be possible that you don't know the other sub questions. It's okay. At least ensure to write those questions first, which you are absolutely confident, and attempt it. Attempt it in the first 1 hour itself because you're confident. At the same time, you're going to maintain your pace as well because you're confident. I hope I'm clear, everyone. Yes. Next. Sleep well goes unsaid. Time and again, each one of us have mentioned this. Sir, like in yesterday's session was also mentioning, please maintain that indiscipline for the time being. I insist you guys to sleep. Ensure that you sleep at least for 6 to 7 hours. Don't compromise. Don't compromise. I think I've given my own experience way back during my CA final examination, where because of lack of sleep, I've done a blunder. I don't want anyone to make commit any of this or repeat any of these blunders in their life. All right. Next point. Write a page with a pen which you intend to use in the examination. I think this is also told time and again. Make your life easier. Ask your sibling, ask your brother, ask your sister, whichever pen you're going to use in the examination tomorrow, ask him to scribble it today. Let them enjoy their life. Anyways, papers are there, pen is there. Let them scribble as much as they want. That will make the pen a little smooth. The pen is going to make your life easier. All right. It might be just a small point, but it is going to help you somewhere or the other. Carry water and if possible, lemonade. Extremely important. You are going to, during those 3 hours, because of the pressure, the heat generated is massive. You need to cool down. So ensure you carry your lemonade, you carry your water bottles as much as possible. Keep yourself hydrated. No, sir, all these things are good to sound. All these are scientifically proven. Right now, I don't need to get into the details of it. All right, next point. Carry water. Okay, dispose the question paper immediately after the examination. I've already told you. I used to do this. I used to tear the question paper immediately after the examination hall. Jai Mata Di, whatever has to happen will happen because it's out of my control now. All right, sir. No, sir. Saraswati Mata will feel bad. It is not right. It is not wrong. Trust me, you don't have to get religious at that point of time because for you, focusing on the next paper is more important. All right. Of course, I leave it to your discretion. In case if you don't want to tear, ensure you are disposing it in a manner that you don't have access. Attitude matters. Time and again, I've told you, I am a big time fan of MS Dhoni because he can keep himself calm during those pressure hours. All right, during those hours when things are out of control, he can keep himself calm. That's what you're going to do. Guys, I'm telling you, entire 100 marks might be a cakewalk, or entire 100 marks might have 20 marks, 25 marks, which might be a little tricky. All right, it's not going to be out of syllabus. It's not going to be absolutely difficult. No, it could be tricky. Doesn't mean that you'll give up there. Keep calm. Breathe twice. You might not know the topic, but you might know something or somewhere you might have come across that. All right, write that and come. It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. What if that itself is the right answer? You never know. You never know. All right, next point. Read the question carefully. I've told you twice. Don't panic. Irrespective of the situation, whether the question you know or you don't know, read it twice. Attempt. If you know, great. If you don't know, don't panic that, oh, I don't know this, I don't know that. When this happens is in the first 15 minutes. Today itself, you might have experienced. In the first 15 minutes, the moment you see the question, you might end up judging that I don't know. And then you get into the panic mode. Avoid doing that. Breathe. You will be able to solve it. You have been diligent. You've been honest in your efforts. Things are going to resolve in the way it has to. All right. Next. Don't assume that you will not know the answer before reading the question. Like I've already told. Example, I'm talking about subsidiary. The moment you see subsidiary itself, you're getting heart attacks right now. Separate topic. Right now, please note, read the question twice. It might be a chiller question. It might not even be revolving around subsidiary. It might be something else itself. Read it twice. I think I have repeated myself time and again on this. All right. Next, no wrong question, no wrong sections. All right. Easy to keep. If you know the section, give. Good to see that. If you don't know the section, please don't write wrong sections. You will at least know the act. No, sir, worst case, I don't know which act it is coming from. It's okay. Write as per the provision of law. This also, if you don't know, don't write the paper called law. As simple as that. All right, I repeat. You know the sections, write the sections. Don't write wrong sections. If you don't know the section, write as per this act, it is being mentioned as this. If you don't know the act as well, just write as per the provision of law. I hope I'm clear, friends. Next point. Time for 4 marks and 2 marks can't be the same. Please note, this is not BCom examination. 4 marker, you write 4 pages. 2 marker also, you write 4 pages. What is the point? What is the point? Are you guys even understanding? Assess. When this happens is when you are getting a little excited, when you know a particular answer, no? You get a little excited and you want to give more and more. You want to prove that you are the master on this topic. You don't have to do that. Ensure that you balance out the marks and the amount of time that you're going to spend on that. All right. I'm still telling you, I've seen time and again, people end up spending marks, or rather spending a lot of time on those topics, which doesn't even require so much time. You balance it out, keep it calm. Next, try different presentation formats, tables, charts, underlining, very important. Please ensure as much as possible, write in pointers. If you know you can present it better in a tabular manner, please go ahead. You will get marks for it. You will get marks for it. You can make it better looking by presenting it in a chart format. Go ahead, no problem, as long as your answers are complete and you are making it legible. All right. Most important thing, every point that you write must have a keyword, and keyword must be underlined. All right. I'm not talking about subtitle or subtopic. I'm talking about every particular pointer which you write. Just underline one keyword, whichever the keyword is. Subsidiary company means a company in which more than 1/2 of the control is of total voting power is held by another company. So 1/2 of total voting power. Underline that. That's it. You don't have to specifically write anything. Why? You're making the evaluator's life easy. You are bringing his attention only to those points which you know are correct, and you want him to read only those. Possible that you might have written all the stories around those, and he might focus only on those words which are underlined. I hope you're understanding the point. All right, make his life easier. Next point. Start with the pattern, manner of writing. Start with pattern and manner of writing sections. I think I've told you, first is going to be section. Then you're going to write section 2, clause 85 of Companies Act 2013 defines the word small company. No, sir, just writing section 2, clause 85, is it sufficient? No, there are so many acts which you have learned. Just writing the section number will not be sufficient. Make his life easier by giving the reference of which act is this section referring to. I hope you're understanding, everyone. Yes, next point. Other laws, please, for God's sake, don't forget other laws. All right, you have company law and you have a couple of other laws as well. Ensure you read those laws, all right, which we are going to discuss immediately after this. Few case laws handy. Whenever you're going for any examination for a particularly law, there are a couple of very simple case laws. Example, when it comes to your corporate separate legal entity, all right, Solomon versus Solomon, writing this itself is going to fetch you 1 mark. Keep a few case laws handy. No, sir, I don't have time. I haven't done this ever in the past. It's okay. Don't spend extra time now. If you have done it, great. If you've not done it, it's absolutely fine. You will be able to recall when you're reading the topic itself. All right. Language like says, tells, etc. should not be used. Companies Act says. Is it your uncle? Is it your auntie who's coming and telling you? The answer is no. Please refrain from using these words. The words that you're going to use is Companies Act states, Companies Act provides, Companies Act specifies, Companies Act mentions. These are the words which you're going to use. You're not going to use words like says, tells, and all of these things. Please refrain. This can annoy anyone. This can annoy anyone. All right. Fresh page per policy. Answer first question, best question. The first question has to be the best question. I hope I'm very clear about it. And next thing, fresh page per policy. What is the meaning of this? Every sub question has to be in a new fresh page. You're not going to save environment during those 3 hours. We have separate CAPS project, which we are going to spend time separately on that. Don't do during those 3 hours. I hope I'm clear about this. All right. Next, technical discussion. What is this? We're going to quickly look into those topics of yours, see how much is the marks and what could be the importance. All right. The first thing is Companies Act 2013. From your examination perspective, 15 to 20% is going to be picked from here. Chiller topic. Trust me, chiller topic. We ourselves have revised this topic almost 6 times. All right. Having said that, now you're again going to spend at least 2 to 3 hours on this topic. You will be able to crack. Now, let me discuss quickly a couple of extra focus points. I repeat, these are extra focus points. That means you're going to read everything, but pay a little more attention on these points. I'm not saying you're going to only read this. I repeat myself. These are extra focus points. What are those extra focus points? Applicability of Act. Section 1. To whom all is it applicable? Characteristics of a company. Doctrine of lifting the corporate veil. Types of companies. OPCs. Those various doctrines which you have learned. Ultra vires, constructive notice, endowed management. All of these are extra focus points. You will get your R2R material. Don't worry. All right. Right now, just pay attention on what we are discussing. Next is your Indian Partnership Act of 1932. 20 to 25% is going to be picked from here. All right. 20 to 25%. Chiller topic again. Cakewalk topic, if you ask me, because this topic is something so much of logic and common sense that each one of you will be able to crack. Let's quickly see those extra focus points. Definition. What is section 4 defining? How is it defining your partnership? Section 4. I hope you are able to recall. All right. So section 4 is defining your partnership. What is partnership? What are those elements of partnership? Remember, important. All right. What are the rights of partner? What is the partnership property? Personal profits earned by partners. All right. Section 16, if you recall, I can't make personal profits. If I'm making personal profits, then I'll have to share it with the firm. Yes. So those are the points. Agency characteristics of a partner. Rights and liabilities of a minor admitted to partnership. Minor partner.
No, sir.
Admitted to the benefits of partnership.
At least this much you should know. All right. At least this much you should know. There is no concept of minor partner. What are the rights and liabilities of a minor admitted to the partnership before majority, after majority? That is important from exam perspective. Expulsion of a partner. In case those two people, your spouse is fighting in the kitty party, if you remember, classic example. All right. That is another important case. Consequences of non-registration. What will happen, sir? You are given full gyan. What will happen if I don't register? Those 2-3 points that we have learned. You can't sue. You can't do all those 100 rupees set off and all of those things revolving around. All right. Next is your LLP. 5 to 10%. Again, as long as you know your Companies Act and your Indian Partnership Act, this topic is going to be a chiller topic. What are you going to focus on? You're going to focus on what are the characteristics of LLP, who are the partners and what is their relationship, what is the liability of the partners in LLP. Designated partner, extremely important. Pay attention on that. Designated partner is one important point. What is the difference between LLP, company, LLP, partnership? Again, very simple topics. All right. I think this is more or less about the topic that we have discussed in the past. Trust me, each one of you have attended all the sessions with all diligence. All right. You have been honest in your attempt. You've been honest in your efforts. Trust your confidence now and go for it. It's going to be fun. Trust me, it's going to be fun. Each one of you are going to enjoy writing this paper because we have enjoyed learning the process. All right. As long as the process was good, all the results are also going to be beautiful. Immediately after the paper, my request, do ensure that you dispose it so that you don't sit and calculate whether you're getting 39 plus 1. You don't become the evaluator at home. All right. Don't do that because it's going to be waste of time and that has an impact on your respective corresponding papers as well. Next, most important thing, guys, keep yourself calm. Don't read anything half an hour before the examination or 1 hour before the examination. Trust me, it creates a lot of heat. You might get those extra. Sir, what if during that half an hour itself, I read a question which came in examination? Possible. You got those 3 marks. you put at stake the rest of the 30 marks, which you've already read, which you were good at, because the heat generated is massive, massive. All right. You're already under panic. Most important thing, it is law paper. Each one of you have written so many mock exams, you will be able to crack it. Just have confidence, read RTPs, ensure that you read at least 2 to 3 RTPs. No, sir, I haven't ever read RTP. Read at least your attempt RTP in that case. All right. I insist you guys to read at least 2 to 3 RTPs. No, sir, I haven't ever read any of the RTPs in the past. It's okay. Relax. It's just an examination. You will crack it even if you've read that one RTP properly. All right. So I'm not going to take much time today. I think we have just another 3 minutes. Quickly revising on quick important points. Indian Partnership Act, or rather Partnership Act, is one of the most important topics. How are you going to begin your preparation? First, spend time on your Companies Act. Immediately after that, finish your Partnership Act as well, because Partnership Act is going to fetch a lot of marks. All right. And then LLP can be the last topic after you're done with your Contract Act and Sale of Goods Act and all of those. All right. Ensure you finish one topic of Contract Act. Immediately you come to Companies Act. Finish Sale of Goods Act. Immediately come to Partnership Act. By this, you would have already finished the syllabus and you would have enjoyed, because it wouldn't have been monotonous. All right. With this, I wish each one of you, of course, goes unsaid, I was a little fast, but that's okay. You guys are already used to it. All right. Having said that, all the very best. Trust me, I have trust in each one of you. Now it's time for you to trust yourself. All right. I have trust in each one of you. All the ways each one of you have been honest in the efforts during the classes. I have trust in you. Now, just one small favor you will do on yourself. Start trusting yourself. As simple as that. Just have trust in yourself. You will come out with flying colors. I'm not going to give a lot of philosophical and motivational gyan right now, because each one of you are absolutely motivated. And after all, you are a capsite. That's more than enough to prove. All right. With this, I sign off. Thank you so much and have a great examination. You come out with laughters and joy. That's the only wish. Irrespective of whatever it is, you still come out with a wide smile on your face, because it is always going to be reasonably good. That's what you've learned, right? If I'm not wrong, it was reasonably well or reasonably good. Yes. So that's what that automatically brings a wide smile on your face. With this, I sign off. Thank you so much and all the very best, friends.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಫಾ? Which one videos others? Hardly a few minutes. What's the problem? Happy evening, sir.
Happy evening, all of you all.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Happy evening, sir.
Happy evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. So now,
Good evening, sir.
so yesterday we had hi, bye, kalekai. Today we have refresh and relax. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's relax. After a very fast tufan mail, now we'll go a little slow. Correct? Zoom, you'll have gone, right? So you'll have had 40 minutes of full Zoom. Now we'll refresh and relax. Okay, so coming to the point, all of you all know that I've explained this when we did the refresh to cherish R2C sessions, that there are 5 questions in your, which you have to attempt out of 6. So there are 72 marks, right? And the first question is compulsory, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And when we did an analysis, we also found out that there were 2 or 3 things which are very important. One, that the first question is compulsory and it usually comprises of a 7 and 5 mark question, which will be either from Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, or Companies Act. So these 3 acts, or sometimes even a combination of these 3. So if you get 444 or something like that, or 543, 12 marks. Now the next 5 questions you have to attempt any 4, right? And I told you the first question, that is question 2, is generally one 7-mark question from the Contract Act and one 5-mark question from the Limited Liability Partnership Act, right? And I told you that if you want to attempt questions where you have to basically analyze like a case study or something, and if you're not comfortable with case studies, leave out those questions. The second question will generally be that. And in the remaining 3, 4, 5, 6, generally you'll have at least 3 questions with at least one case law. In fact, mostly there will be a case law, but in case you're not comfortable, choose those questions which have less marks of case laws. Might be a 4-mark question or might be a 3-mark question. When we did the analysis of the previous papers, we found that there is a total of 40 marks which comes from Companies Act and Sale of Goods Act. And remember, this is 14 out of 60. It's out of 72. Because remember, you have 6 questions of 12 marks each. 5 marks comes from Limited Liability Partnership Act. That makes it 45. And 27 marks comes from Companies Act and Partnership Act. Okay, so keep these things in mind so that you all are a little more comfortable when you all are dealing with the paper. Second thing which you wanted to analyze, which paper did you all have today?
Accounts.
Accounts, paper 1.
Oh, so how did you do?
Reasonably good.
Easy,
Reasonably.
reasonably easy paper. Okay. Whether you have done well or bad, don't worry about it. Past is past, so you can't do anything, right? So that we've already discussed. I've already told you, I used to keep repeating one quotation which I love. What was the quotation? Yesterday is a cancelled check. You cannot cash it. Tomorrow is a promissory note. You cannot rely on it. Today is hard cash. Spend it. So whatever is over is over. You can't do anything. You can't go back, change the paper. If you have done badly, you only make up in the next paper. If you have done well, take that momentum forward. But you cannot erase your past, right? So your past is past. And the only thing which you can do is worry about it. So worry is like a rocking chair. It'll make you move, but it'll take you nowhere. So forget about whatever happened. The accounts were reasonably good or not so good. Doesn't matter. You will have the chance to make amends. Now we were coming back to the point. Now we have 40 marks of Contract Act. Now, the second point which I wanted to tell you is, so you'll have done the analysis of the paper, so you'll know what comes where. Second thing which we have to discuss is when you're writing your case study. And you remember from questions 3, 4, 5, 6, generally in all these questions, you'll have at least one case study. Now, I have discussed so many case studies with you all, and you all had asked me, why, sir, are you doing so many case studies? And I told, because in your paper, you will get case studies, including question 1. At least there will be 5 case studies, 2 from Contract Act, 2 from Sale of Goods Act, 1 from Partnership, 1 from Contract Company. And I also told you, how do you write your answer for case studies? What do? You write facts of the case, provisions of the act, analysis, and conclusion. Yeah, so remember that. So when you're writing the facts of the case, mention the case in 2 lines, provisions of the act, mention the section, and if there is a case which is similar to this, mention this is similar to Moiri Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh. This is similar to Harvey versus Facey. If you'll remember the case law. If you don't remember it, doesn't matter. But if you write that it is similar to this, it will give an inkling to the person that that person knows the case. Okay, so that is the thing. Now coming to the portions. Remember, the portions which I covered were the Indian Contract Act and the Sale of Goods Act. In Indian Contract Act, we started off with the nature and formation of a contract and offer and acceptance. So in that we explained, I'd explained the important parts over there is what is a contract, essentials of a valid contract. And in essentials of a valid contract, please go through 2 things, essentials of a valid contract under section 10 and which are not covered under section 10. So if they ask you essentials of a valid contract for 8 marks or 6 marks, don't mention only one set of things under section 10. You have to mention both. Second thing which I told you was, okay, I forgot this, but I should have told you this earlier. Go through the previous 2 years papers. Generally, what we've seen the pattern for the past 5 years, 6 years, right from 2016 is whatever has come in the last 2 papers generally doesn't repeat. So if you see 2022, right from 2016, this is a pattern. Okay. So 2016, what comes in May and December will not come in 2017 May. What comes in 2017 May and December will not come in. So if you generally don't take the risk, but generally if you're a little, you can be a little more relaxed, because if something is going on for 6 years, there is no need for it to change. So I don't think so they'll suddenly give you the same questions which they gave you in the December paper or in the May paper. But generally 2 papers are very safely, in fact 3, but I am giving you 2 so that you'll have this thing. So just keep that in mind. Go through your previous papers and see these are the questions that have come. So generally the chance of them repeating is very, very slim. Might be 3%, 4%, but it doesn't mean you leave it out. But the chance of it coming is very, very slim when we did the analysis of the paper. Okay. Now, nature and formation of a contract, we discussed 2 things: essentials of a valid contract. We did also types of contract, remember, expressed, implied, etc. Offer and acceptance, we did the various essentials of an offer, essentials of an acceptance. Go through each of them, go through the sections, definitions, mention it. Okay. And also remember one more thing is that if you get a case law, see the ones. I've done several case laws, both in offer and acceptance. Chapter 2, Unit 2 in Indian Contract Act was consideration. If you remember consideration, there are 2 important parts of this chapter. And I have a feeling it might come because it's not come for 2 years, for 2 to 1.5, 3 times it's not come. It's basically you have no consideration, no contract. That is exceptions to the rule of no consideration, no contract, natural love and affection, gift, trust, deed, etc. And other one is when does a stranger to a contract become a stranger to a consideration? If you remember that, a stranger to a consideration can sue, but a stranger to a contract cannot. So these 2 chapters, these 2 parts of that chapter are very important. The third chapter, the third unit in the Indian Contract Act is one of the most important units, because out of 40 marks, generally 8 to 10 marks comes from here. What is it? Other essentials of a valid contract, where there is capacity to contract, minor, insolvent, etc. Also, we did the free consent, coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation, right from section 15, 16, 17, 18. 19 is nothing, then 20, 21, 22 is mistake. So again, go through those section 15, 16, 17, 18 with the case laws, right from coercion, undue influence, Rani Annapurni Devi versus Swaminathan. They've repeated those cases, they just changed the names, right? And we also discussed legality of object. And there's one topic which is pretty important, which is called agreements opposed to public policy. So go through those agreements and learn definitions of champati, maintenance, etc. This chapter is extremely important. The fourth unit which you have in your Indian Contract Act is performance of a contract. And if you remember what is the performance of a contract, we discussed what is performance, what is attempted performance. Attempted performance is also called tender, essentials of a valid tender, correct? So we discussed various rules regarding performance of a contract. The 5th chapter which we did was breach of contract. So if you remember breach of contract, there are 2 parts to breach of contract: actual breach of contract, anticipatory breach of contract, and also the remedies for breach of contract. This is quite important. So please concentrate on remedies for breach of contract. What are the remedies for breach of contract? Learn all the types of damages, including liquidated damages, penalties, right? Learn all the different aspects of damages as well as the other injunction, etc. So again, I have a sneaky feeling this might come for you all, okay? Because it's not come in the past 2 papers. The last chapter which we have is contingent contracts and quasi contracts. So you have rules for a contingent contract. What are rules? What is the difference between a contingent contract and a wagering agreement? And quasi contracts, right from, remember, quasi contract is not defined in the Indian Contract Act, but section 67, 68, 69, right from supply of necessities of life to a person not capable of voluntary gratuitous act, all those things which we did. Please go through all those. So these are the various aspects you cover in the Indian Contract Act. Okay, so you'll have gone through a very, okay. The next thing which we did was Sale of Goods Act. In Sale of Goods Act, again, the first chapter was nature and formation of a contract of sale. So please go through there are 2-3 important things. One is what is a sale and what is an agreement to sale. Generally, in your 40 marks or even in your entire 72 marks, which comes from law, there will be at least 1 or 2 questions where they'll ask you the differences between different things, like difference between sale and agreement of sale, or difference between coercion and undue influence. So go through your textbook and see those differences. Those differences are very easy to score because you have 4 or 5 marks over there, right? And if you mention point of difference, let's say wagering agreement, contingent contract. So you can write down those 4 or 5 points and they'll give you the points because it will be in a tabular form, right? So go through the differences properly. Why am I telling you this? Because in this chapter, formation of a contract of sale, there are differences between sale and other contracts. Remember, sale and contract of work and material, sale and bailment, sale and hire purchase. And also you have a very important topic in this first chapter, which is called goods. So types of goods, ascertained, unascertained, specific, contingent goods, which is a very, very important part. So go through this chapter because this is the foundation of your contract of sale. Second chapter is as important as your third unit in your contract, Indian Contract Act. Third unit was other essentials of a valid contract. Here it's called conditions and warranties. So if you remember differences between conditions and warranties, 2 important things, implied conditions and express conditions. And there are implied warranties. So remember, there are different implied conditions, correct? Condition as to title of goods, condition as to merchantability, learn all these conditions. And generally we have seen in all papers, barring very few, you've got a case law from this chapter. So see if you can go through the cases from the revision test paper and the mock test paper, which you have already discussed. Third unit in your Sale of Goods Act is the transfer of property. So when does the property get transferred from ascertained goods, unascertained goods? Okay. And we also discussed when can a person transfer a good title to a non-owner, right? Nemo dat quod non habat, we had done that. A person who does not have a good title cannot transfer goods, but in certain exceptions, he can transfer a good title. And that is also a very, very important part of that chapter. Transfer of property, we've done that in detail. And the last chapter is unpaid seller, last unit, rights of an unpaid seller. Remember the chart which I taught you, that is, you have it in your textbook, rights against the buyer personally and rights against the goods, right? So this covers 2 aspects. One was your Contract Act and one is your Sale of Goods Act. Okay. Now the second thing is, I want to ask you one small question. Today when you all wrote the paper, were you all nervous? You will be nervous. Okay. If you're not nervous, that means you're not bothered about your exam, which is a very strange thing to be in. Or you're extremely confident, which is very rare. But I tell you that if you're a little nervous, don't take it, hold it against yourself, because many people, I was very nervous. And sometimes nervousness is good. So when you're a little nervous, don't label it as nervousness, label it as excitement. So tomorrow when you go to your paper and you're feeling a little tingling sensation in your heart, you're feeling it all across your body, don't call it nervousness, call it the way you label your sensation will determine whether your sensation is good or bad.
Bad.
Yeah. So when I used to also go for exam, I used to feel nervous because everybody wants to perform well, right? And there is a performance anxiety in everybody. Even now when I give a talk everywhere or something, I will feel that nervousness. I will feel my heart will flutter. I will feel a little pinch in my stomach. So everybody goes through that. So don't think that, oh my God, I'm very nervous, I'm getting so scared. It's absolutely normal. And that is just an indication that you want to perform well. So don't label it as nervousness, label it as excitement. I'm excited to do well in my exam. And you'll find a marked difference in the way in which you perform your exam. Because I know you'll go, and this is the first theory paper which you are writing. And that you're going to write a theory paper with a calculator. So it will be very interesting. So please write that, whatever it is. You might, if you're feeling nervous, press those buttons in that calculator. At least some 3-4 people next to you will laugh. Their anxiety will go off if nothing else happens. Correct or no? Right? No, Chinmay?
Yes.
As soon as you get it, differences between condition and warranty, chumma press 3 plus 4 plus 7 or something. Something will come off, right? Like Mabel sir told you, correct? You told carry a calculator, no? Correct.
Yeah.
So chumma press. What to press? Buttons on the calculator. Okay. Okay. Nothing else. I found it very interesting. This is the first time I've heard this in my life, and I'm very excited about this. I'm going to repeat this. This is the best way to relieve pressure. If the examiner asks you what you're doing, tell him mind your own business. Correct or no? I'm calculating English. Okay, whatever it is. I'm calculating business law. I'm adding up section 3 plus section 5 plus section 7 will come section 19, which I'll put over there or whatever. Correct or no? Which section. So don't have to make it chuma.
Today, I think in my room, we all were, I think, I don't know, everybody's head was down. At 4 o'clock, everybody's head was up. Because there's this one guy who just walks out of the room at 4 o'clock. I don't know whether he's written the paper or not written the paper.
So, best what you all should do is, instead, your exam is from what time to what time?
1:45 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, so what you all should do is get up at 4:20. That's the right time. Whenever get up at 4:20, get up at 4:20 and say 4:20 and walk out. Walk out if you'll have finished. And point at the examiner or point at the paper or whatever. Correct or no? Or you put 4:20 on the calculator and show everybody. Okay, whatever. Okay. Don't worry about that. But anyway, I'm playing the fool. So just relieve yourself. Don't worry about anything. So keep this in mind that it is very natural to feel anxious and you label it as excitement. The second thing which you have to do is don't try and avoid these anxiety bolts which you have. I've already told you this earlier. When you face fear, fear goes. When you avoid fear, fear grows. So if you're feeling the sensation, okay, let your hands tremble, let your legs tremble. Keep your pen down for a minute and then start again. Correct or no? It's okay. That when you face it, when you handle the fear head on, it will go. But if you keep avoiding it, oh, I think of something else, then it will grow. So face your fear and go ahead and do it. That is the second thing which I wanted to tell you. The third thing which I wanted to tell you is all of you all have exceptionally good. I've seen when I've taken classes for you all, so there is nothing for you all to worry about. There is a famous saying which goes proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I know all of you all, the 5 P's, proper preparation prevents poor performance. P. So all of you all have prepared well.
5 P's.
5 P's. So all of you all have prepared well. So you have nothing to worry about. Just go ahead, do your paper well and say a small prayer. Sometimes you need a little support just for the psychological. Some people might believe in the supreme power. Some people may not believe. Even if you don't believe, you need some psychological support. So just say a small prayer and write your paper with all your faith and all your effort. You will always do well. So don't worry. All the best. And I hope to see all of y'all in the intermediate. Okay. Okay. What was
Thank
that?
you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. All the best.